Skol, Vikings Nation. What's good, purple and gold faithful? Buckle up, because we're diving into the hottest Minnesota Vikings news for 2025, fresh off the NFL free agency frenzy and the 2025 NFL draft. The Vikings are coming off a monster 14-3 season, but that playoff heartbreak against the Rams left us hungry for more. Today, we're zooming in on a critical area that could make or break our Super Bowl dreams. The defensive secondary. Are we ready to lock down the NFC North? Or do we still have work to do? Stick around, because I've got 10 electrifying updates that'll have you screaming, Skol! By the end, here's the deal. Our secondary took some hits this offseason, and the Vikings didn't draft a single defensive back, which has fans buzzing. Is Kevin O'Connell cooking up something big? Or are we rolling the dice? From losing key starters to a blockbuster free agency target who could flip the script, we're breaking it all down. Will J.J. McCarthy's rise as QB1 pair with a revamped defense to take us to the promised land? Let's jump into the first scene and find out what's brewing in Minnesota. So, Vikings fans, grab your horns, hit that like button, and let's get into the action. What do you think the Vikings need most in the secondary? Drop your thoughts in the comments as we roll through this wild ride. The Minnesota Vikings are at a crossroads after a stellar 2024 season that saw us dominate with a 14-3 record. Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores had this team firing on all cylinders. But that gut-punch wild card loss to the Rams showed we're not invincible. The secondary, a cornerstone of Flores' aggressive, blitz-heavy scheme, was a strength last year, but free agency shook things up big time. We're talking major changes that could reshape our defense for 2025. One of the biggest blows? Losing Cameron Bynum, our rock-solid starting safety, to the Indianapolis Colts. Bynum was a tackling machine, racking up 107 tackles and 3 interceptions in 2024, per ESPN stats. His departure leaves a gaping hole at safety, and with Theo Jackson stepping up after his recent contract extension, the pressure's on to fill those shoes. Vikings Nation, are you worried about the safety spot? Or do you trust Flores to work his magic? Here's the kicker. The Vikings didn't use a single one of their 5 2025 draft picks on a defensive back, according to Vikings.com. That's a bold move, signaling O'Connell and GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah are banking on free agency to shore up the secondary. Could this be a genius gamble or a risky oversight? Let's dive deeper into the cornerback crisis that's got fans on edge. Stephon Gilmore, our veteran cornerstone at cornerback, is still a free agent, and there's no word on bringing him back. Gilmore, a former Defensive Player of the Year, was a lockdown presence in 2024, with 54 tackles and 2 picks, per NFL.com. His experience in Flores' scheme made him invaluable, but at 34, is Minnesota looking for younger blood? The uncertainty has fans buzzing on X, with posts questioning if we've seen the last of Gilmore in purple. Adding to the drama, we also lost Shaquille Griffin, Fabian Moreau, and Najee Thompson at cornerback, per X posts from @JakesFFootball. That's a serious chunk of our depth gone, and our pass defense, which ranked 28th allowing 242 yards per game last season, can't afford to take a step back. Vikings Nation, who do you think steps up to replace these guys? Drop your picks in the comments. The good news? Minnesota's not sitting idle. They've added Jeff Okudah, Tavier Thomas, and Isaiah Rodgers to the cornerback room, per the same X post. Okudah, a former top 3 pick, brings high upside potential, while Rodgers' speed could be a game-changer. But are these additions enough to keep our secondary elite? Let's talk about a name that could change everything. Enter Rasul Douglas, the former Green Bay Packer who's being floated as the perfect fit for Minnesota, according to Ryan Smith of Pro Football Focus. Douglas, a physical, ball-hawking corner, had 5 interceptions in 2023 with the Bills and Packers, per NFL.com. His aggressive style screams Brian Flores, and signing him would be a delicious jab at our rivals in Green Bay. Imagine Douglas picking off Jordan Love at US Bank Stadium. Skol vibes only. Why Douglas? He's a natural in Flores' scheme, thriving in man coverage and blitz-heavy looks. Smith notes that Minnesota's lack of draft picks at cornerback suggests confidence in free agency, and Douglas, at 29, brings the perfect mix of youth and experience. Vikings fans, would you love to see a former Packer in purple? Or are you skeptical? Let's hear it. But hold up, signing Douglas isn't a done deal. The Vikings face competition, with teams like the Commanders and Jets also eyeing him, per recent web reports. Minnesota's cap space, projected at $70 million for 2025 per over the cap, gives us room to make a splash, but will Adolfo-Mensah pull the trigger? The clock's ticking as OTAs approach, and every day without a move ramps up the pressure. Let's not forget the J.J. McCarthy factor. With Sam Darnold off to Seattle on a massive 3-year, $100.5 million deal, per Newsweek, McCarthy's stepping into the QB1 spotlight after missing 2024 with a knee injury. A strong secondary is crucial to protect our young quarterback, who's brimming with confidence, saying, "I feel 110%, per StarTribune.com. If the defense falters, McCarthy's job gets a lot harder." How excited are you for JJ to lead the Vikings? Sound off below. Brian Flores, the mastermind behind our defense, is known for turning undervalued players into stars. Look at Josh Metellus, who called McCarthy special, and is thriving in Flores' system, per StarTribune.com. Could Flores mold Okudah or Thomas into the next breakout star? Or does he need a proven veteran like Douglas to anchor the unit? The secondary success hinges on Flores' wizardry, and Vikings Nation is watching closely. Speaking of new faces, let's talk about the draft. While we didn't grab a defensive back, the Vikings made waves with picks like guard Donovan Jackson and receiver Ty Felton, per Vikings.com. Jackson's a beast who'll protect McCarthy, and Felton's speed could stretch defenses. But with only 5 picks, the lack of secondary help stings. Do you think Kwesi played it too safe? Or is he cooking something big in free agency? Let's debate. The undrafted free agent haul is another bright spot. Minnesota signed 19 UDFAs, including local hero Max Brosmer, a quarterback who'll compete for QB3 behind McCarthy and Sam Howell, per Daily Norseman. Brosmer's football IQ could make him a fan favorite, but the real story is the depth added across the roster. Could one of these UDFAs, like Kansas OT Logan Brown, surprise at cornerback? Tell me your sleeper pick. Back to the secondary, the loss of Bynum and potentially Gilmore puts pressure on guys like Theo Jackson, who's stepping into a bigger role after his extension, per Vikings.com. Jackson's versatility fits Flores' scheme, but can he handle a full-time starting gig? Posts on X suggest fans are nervous about our pass defense ranking 28th last year. Vikings Nation, are you confident in Jackson? Or do we need more firepower? Let's zoom out. The Vikings' 2025 vision is clear: build around McCarthy and lean on Flores' defense. With Sam Howell traded in as QB2 per ESPN, and offensive line upgrades like Ryan Kelly, per Daily Norseman, the offense looks promising. But the secondary remains the X factor. If we sign Douglas and keep guys like Metellus locked in, we could have a top 10 defense. What's your bold prediction for the Vikings' 2025 season? As we wrap up, the Minnesota Vikings are all in on J.J. McCarthy and a retooled roster, but the secondary's still a question mark. Rasul Douglas could be the answer, but with Gilmore's future unclear and Bynum gone, the stakes are sky high. Brian Flores has the tools, but will he get the pieces he needs? Vikings Nation, this is our year to make noise in the NFC. Let's get loud. Skol, Vikings fans. What's your take on the secondary shakeup? Should we sign Rasul Douglas, Chase Gilmore, or trust the young guys? Smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more Vikings news. Share this video with your fellow purple and gold diehards, and let's keep the Skol chant alive. Until next time, let's ride with the Vikings to the Super Bowl.